Okay, Pete's going to give us an explanation on how to do this fight, please.
Okay. Behind this board is the Emperor. He's standing above the exit door. If you think of a clock face on the ground and have that as 12, then at the opposite end is the golden tree, which is 6. And above the golden tree is the puzzle board grid laid out exactly the same as this puzzle board that you're all standing on. The 4 bosses in this fight are seasons: summer, winter, spring and autumn. We spawn the bosses by solving a 12-man puzzle on this board. So that spawns the boss. The boss appears from the exit door underneath the Emperor. And as soon as the first boss is spawned, 4 seasons appear and start travelling around these tracks around the perimeter of the room. They travel clockwise or anti-clockwise. Alternately, the first season travels anti-clockwise on this outside track. The next one we spawn runs on the inside track and it runs clockwise. The third one runs anti-clockwise, the fourth one runs clockwise. We have to tank the boss within range of the season to debuff the boss. So it has the 4 bosses have a decimation kind of one-shot cast, which they start to cast periodically through the fight, and so long as they're debuffed, they don't finish the cast. So to do this, we tank the boss. The first one will be around here, and the season will be running in an anti-clockwise direction on this outside track. So each season has its path. This one's anti-clockwise. If you root it before it gets to the corner, when it becomes unrooted, it will change direction and start running clockwise, only to about half the length of this section. Then it will change direction again and start running the way it's programmed to go, anti-clockwise. Once it passes the corner, it won't come back. So it passes this corner, it will run to about half the length and then turn around by itself and run back. But to be sure that it runs back, you root it just before halfway. It will change direction, run back, bounce off this corner, go back to its regular path, root it again, and it just stays in this section, debuffing the boss. One person, one toss or Hox demo can root the season for the entire fight, if that's all they're doing. What messes with it is when other people with AoE, roots, stuns, knockbacks affect the season. That stops it travelling its full range and makes it bounce too frequently, and we lose control of it, and once it goes past halfway of the length, it won't come back past halfway. So worst case scenario, we have to move the boss, which is a waste of time, and it is a timed fight with a lot of DPS required. So we'll be tanking the boss, and periodically, I think 30 seconds or something, he turns around and he casts this spell called Meteor. It's a targeted spell which is aimed at the furthest player away from the boss. It's a column which is in a reverse cone, in that it's narrowest here at the furthest away and it's widest at the boss end. It'll kill anyone between the boss and the Meteor taker. So you cannot be between the boss and Meteor. And I mean, really, you can't be on the second half of the boss on this left-hand side, because they will always turn to their right and cast Meteor. It's like a comet trail. If you're near this first boss is a tiger, if you're near its hindquarters, you're going to die from Meteor straight away. If you're charging at the boss from the puzzle pad, the centre of the target which you will charge at is too far at the back and you'll insta-die from meteor. During each boss fight, the Emperor casts hostile spells in the entire room, which we need to solve a puzzle to debuff the spell on the entire raid. So that's the 6-man group. So they have to be ready to debuff these spells. 1 or 2 of them, doesn't really matter if they debuff it or not, but all the rest of them will kill us if they don't solve it in adequate time. It's really important that as you're all running on and off this puzzle board, that you don't run over the dots, because they bug out, and then people have to run over them backwards and forwards, try and unbug it. So the 6-man, 12-man solve the puzzle, spawns the boss, we position the boss, everybody gets in here and DPSs behind the tanks. I have first aggro because I entered the room, so I'll be positioning the boss. Once I say that it's here, it's good, DPS in, something like that, Govus will step right on top of me and take main aggro and tank the boss. I'll be off tanking it to him, then everybody else DPS gets in around behind the tanks, spell weave, leave enough space for the melee DPS to get in and out to the boss, and you know, kind of build your DPS up so that we're, you know, by 50% we're going full tilt, and then from then on it's full tilt the whole way. The boss mustn't move at all. It must stay on the soldiers for us to be in full control. We do this 4 times. So first boss appears around here, where the next bosses appear, spawn to, depends on how much DPS we have, because once we start the fight, all the seasons spawn, and they keep travelling in their circuit as they're programmed to do. That's it. Kill 4 bosses, 8 minutes, end of fight, get nice purple stuff.